So I always had this uh, interest of learning how do I manage things, but I wasn't sure in which direction to take upon. That was around the time I came across the 1% Club, and it gave me like a structured approach.
So why don't we start off with a very quick introduction of, yourself, your current job, what do you do, where you're from, and all of that.
I'm Supriya. I'm based out in Bangalore. I'm a software engineer by profession. At the moment, I'm associated with Cisco as a software engineer there. And yeah, that's a bit about me.
How was your financial planning or investments like, before joining the 1% Club?
I joined around like the initial cohort time. It was around the COVID scenes and we were all at home. Uh, it was just after, previous to that, I used to mostly spend. It was more like I get my salary, all the expenses, the utilities, bills are done, and then weekends are here or some of the other gigs happen. And then at the end of a few days, I'm like, okay, where did all my money go? What did I do with it? So I always had this uh, interest of learning how do I manage things, but I wasn't sure in which direction to take upon. So when COVID struck, since all of us were at home, it was just to do with like saving that rest of the part where you're not spending on your wants or just some splunks. So at that point is where I understood, okay, I do have something as a corpus which I can maybe think about and see how can I invest or start learning about savings. Uh, that was around the time I came across the 1% Club, and it gave me like a structured approach of.
So what would you say is your biggest financial win after joining the 1% Club?
This might sound very simple, but the biggest one is to get started with that concept of saving. Although it's very similar to like getting started with your fitness journey of losing weight, right? You see the scale go down by 2 or 3 kilos, and then you're happy, and then you just forget everything, and then after a few weeks, you're back to normal or even more higher. So even with respect to savings, it was the same for me, where the lockdown was still going on. I got started with savings. I started understanding how do I put that amount in a kitty of, say, a piggy bank. But then once everything came back to normal, the like we started interacting again. We started going back to our normalcies. That is when it struck me that that's where my lifestyle had to change in terms of spending. I can't go back to what I was because I have a new responsibility here to save. So that I would say initially was challenging because it does hamper you a change in the way you want to look at things. But you'll have to be strong across what do you want to do next, like which is important to you at the moment, or thinking about the future. So thinking more in a balanced way, I would say is the challenge. Which
What would you say is the most valuable tip or resource that you've received from the 1% Club?
it's of course to do with how we divide. So we do have goals. We know how much amount we want to save for it. And to some extent, we understand how things work eventually once you've got the fundamentals in. But the point of dividing your savings or dividing the way you want to invest in multiple baskets, and how do you go up across by thinking what percentage do you want to put in which basket, that has been my valuable learning. Like when do we move from, so you think about, you revise that each year to understand where are you at the moment and then tweak it accordingly. So that exercise has been very helpful for me. Sure.
Do you think it was worth the investment in the 1% Club?
For me, it was. It definitely was. I think I also had an edge of joining in early, so I got a lot more time to spend with Sharon during the initial bit of discussions. And since everyone was figuring it out almost together, we did have candidate sessions and information that was shared. But if I see it from there to how we've grown now, uh, I think the one point which I want to add now is at the moment, I am capable of understanding my finance in a way that I was thinking about looking into getting myself a car, and I was happy that the car module started out in 1% Club. So I feel we're going in the right direction. What people think about and how we are able to move our financial statuses, that's when we're that's how we're getting in these new learnings, that there are a lot more things to learn about. It's not stopping anytime soon. And I still get that value out of the 1% club and what I was looking for a few years when I joined across.
Would you recommend the 1% Club to a friend or family?
I definitely would. This 1% club was one of the I think it's a one-stop shop for us to understand all the various aspects of finance, not just how to save money, but how we can efficiently spend our money and the directions to think about on where we could park in our money or how we could like improve our lifestyle. So it's an overall platform, not just focused on one thing. So I think everyone would have something to take over from here, not just like we have a diverse platform of different courses. So any friend of mine whom can refer to, they would surely come up with at least one of these modules was very helpful to them, and the rest is something maybe it was an eye opener and they could learn something new out of it.